Good evening. I'm Ali Velshi in for Brian Williams, who will be back here tomorrow night. Day 1201 of the Trump administration. 183 days, just 6 months until the presidential election. So tonight, we begin the week with the latest sign of the coronavirus's relentless toll on Americans and startling new warnings of a much higher toll in the months ahead. The nation's COVID-19 death toll is now close to 69,000. And tonight, the number of confirmed infections is well over 1 million. Yet, much of the country is now starting a tentative process of reopening. 35 states now have begun lifting restrictions. The president eagerly encouraging governors to get their economies going. The New York Times was first to report on the Trump administration's projections based on data from several agencies, including the CDC, that predict, quote, the daily death toll will reach about 3,000 on June 1st, according to an internal document obtained by the New York Times, nearly double the current number of about 1,750. The projections forecast about 200,000 new cases each day by the end of the month, up from about 25,000 cases a day currently, end quote. And today, researchers at the University of Washington, who've been cited by the White House, announced a major revision to their projected death toll. They're now predicting that 135,000 Americans will have died of the coronavirus by early August. That is nearly double their previous estimate of about 72,000 fatalities. Late today, during an interview with the New York Post, the president was asked about the projections and said, quote, I know nothing about it. I don't know anything about it. Nobody told me that. I think it's false. I think it's fake news. But last night on Fox News, Trump was revising his own earlier estimates.
We're going to lose anywhere from 75, 80 to 100,000 people. That's a horrible thing. We shouldn't lose one person over this.
That number has changed, Mr. President. You said
it's 50, going up.
60,
no, it's 60, going up. 70, I used to say 65,000, and now I'm saying 80 or 90, and it goes up, and it goes up rapidly. But it's still going to be, no matter how you look at it, at the very lower end of the plane if we did the shutdown.
This past weekend, the Washington Post reported on Trump's month-long effort to reopen the economy. According to the report, two key Trump aides tried to downplay the severity of the coronavirus crisis over concerns about the economy and the re-election campaign. One of the reporters on that story, Robert Costa, joins us in a moment. The president travels to Arizona tomorrow, his first trip into the public outside of the Washington area since March 28th. He's expected to visit a factory that's now making N95 masks. Meanwhile, there are signs that the epicenter of this U.S. health crisis may be at a turning point. In New York, 226 people died from the virus over the past 24 hours. It's the state's lowest one-day figure since March 28th, 70% below the one-day tolls of early April.
What we've done in this state has literally saved lives. We've done great work. We just have to remain vigilant and smart and competent going forward.
New Jersey's governor today confirmed that schools would remain closed for the rest of the school year. You may recall that last week President Trump was urging governors to open school. The Senate is back at work on Capitol Hill. The House has yet to set a return date, and the Supreme Court was also back in session today. The justices made history by hearing arguments in a conference call. As for the economic toll from this virus, J.Crew, which was already struggling, became the first big retail casualty, filing for bankruptcy today. As all this is happening, the White House is continuing to focus on China's role in the early days of the pandemic. The Associated Press was first to report on a Department of Homeland Security report, also seen by NBC News, that China intentionally concealed the severity of the virus while stockpiling supplies. Trump also appears to be convinced that China hid information about the virus.
They tried to cover it. They tried to put it out. It's like a fire. You know, it's really like trying to put out a fire. They couldn't put out the fire.
The president and the secretary of state have also been talking up the theory that the virus originated in a lab in Wuhan, China. But tonight, Dr. Anthony Fauci tells National Geographic that, quote, this virus could not have been artificially or deliberately manipulated. He goes on to say, quote, very qualified evolutionary biologists have said that everything strongly indicates that it evolved in nature and then jumped species, end quote.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.